I I looked at information on Google this morning for the temperature here, and it said the temperature will be 20 degrees. Yeah,
20. I watched on TV,
but
but
but but the real temperature was 13,
ah,
right? But on the news and on the internet, it said 20 plus, in some places 25, 26 degrees.
25.
Really,
I,
and,
no?
and, and none of it was true. Zero was true. Zero.
I understand. They can say, what's it so?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Yeah. Last week, the BBC and other channels reported that because the weather was good, lots of British people were going to the sea, to the beach. And they showed films of people at the beach. These films were from last year. These films were from last year. Right.
Oh.
Question. Why would they put a story that is not true
I think so.
on the main news? Why would they do it? Right?
Right.
And they know it's not true. They know it's not. That's why they have the film from last year. They have the film from last year because nobody is at the beach because of the lockdown rules, right?
Yeah.
Right? So they make rules, then they make news that is not true.
Yes. I understand. That is not normal.
It's not normal. It's not normal. Yeah. And it's lies on top of 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 lies on the news, and people watch it and they believe it.
Yes. Yes.
And because they believe it, it creates conflict. It creates conflict. People start to not like people. People start to hate people. People start to be aggressive. People start to be violent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason is the media. The media. And people, because I was reading a little bit this week about there's a special part of the British government called behavioral insights. Behavioral insights, and it's a special department, and they have hundreds of people from different universities working in this one area of government, and they have one job in that department. That one job is to create stories that are not true.
Yes. I understand everything.
It's a department of government, and that's their job.
Yeah.
Right? And then the government says, "Oh, fake news, fake stories," and they are the people creating it.
Yes, I understand.
And they have a whole department, a whole team of professional people.
Yes.
That just create stories. It's fascinating. It's very interesting for me because I live here, right? I live here.
Yes.
and I must talk and communicate with people here. And what do people talk about? People talk about the news, right? That's what people talk about.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Everybody watches the BBC or
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know, independent news like Sky News or some
Mm-hmm.
satellite television or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we communicate with people
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
when their reality
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is not even true? It's bizarre.
I watch BBC every evening.
Yeah. Everybody does. Like did 50%
Mm-hmm.
of this country watch the
Mm-hmm.
BBC in the
Mm-hmm.
evening, or they listen to the BBC
Mm-hmm.
Radio 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or they have the BBC has hundreds of news stations. Really hundreds
Mm-hmm.
of news stations. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just Radio 1, Radio 2, Radio 3, Radio 4. They've got Radio Sport 1 and Sport 2 and Sport 3, and I don't know how they can have it because there's no sport, because no one can
Yes.
play because of the
Yes.
lockdown. So and then they have um, Music Radio 1 and 80s radio, 70s radio, 60s
Mm-hmm.
radio, and then every region has their little micro BBC Radio North of Scotland, BBC Radio Edinburgh, BBC Radio Glasgow, and
Yes.
there's 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 hundreds, maybe even 1,000 radio stations that just the BBC has
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Britain, and so everybody listens.
Yes.
Everybody listens.
Somebody believes it. Somebody no.
Yeah, well, I think that if you are an intelligent person and you know that one thing is not true,
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
then everything is not true.
Not. Yes. Yes.
Because if you have a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a friend and the friend tells you something that is not true, if your friend tells you a lie, then you can't trust this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like sorry, but no, stay away,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
You can't trust them, and that's the BBC.
BBC.
That's the BBC, and the crazy thing is that they make some they make some good content, right?
Mm.
They have some interesting people, and they do some good work, but uh, you can't have a friend who's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes good, sometimes bad, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work out very well in that kind of
Mm.
situation. So it's really interesting. Really interesting. The same was true about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was CNN was
Mm-hmm.
showing films of hospitals in New York, saying that there's too many people, and there's so much work for the doctors and so much work for the nurses, and there's big problems. And the film that they showed was hospitals in Italy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, they told everybody that these are hospitals in New York and they're overflowing with too many people and the doctors are working and the nurses are working. And the film that they showed was from Italy, not from New York.
Why?
Because
They do it.
Because the New York hospitals were empty.
Oh. Empty.
They had no patients.
But information on TV are about a lot of patients in hospitals.
It's not true.
Not true.
The World Health Organization is giving fake numbers to the media. They're just not true.
What is true?
What is true?
What is true?
The truth, okay, everybody asks that question, and the answer is very simple. The truth is what you see. The truth is what you see.
See. In reality.
Yeah. The truth is what you see. The truth is not on the television. It's not on the radio. It's not in the films. Okay, we understand this, right? A film is just a film. Even a documentary.
Yes.
Or a biography of somebody famous. It's just a film. And everything on the television is just a film. Everything on the television is just a film. Now, some films are close to reality, but that's a small percentage. Most films are not. Most films are not. Right? And it's crazy because our picture of history is very different from reality because, for example, if we watch Western films, and I like Western films, you know, I'm a John Wayne fan, I like Western films, right? We get a picture of the world, how the world was, but it's a very romantic picture.
Yes.
It's a very romantic picture, right? And it's not really true. Take this example. In films, people always steal money or take money from the bank.
Yes.
Bank, so that there's the criminal and the bank, and the criminal takes the money from the bank. But you know, in reality, it's the bank that takes the money from the people, right?
Yes, of course.
Right? So it's inverted. It's the opposite, right?
Opposite, yeah.
It's the opposite. So the question, what is real, is a very good question. But reality is what you see. And if you communicate with people about what we see, then we get a different picture. Did you see a problem? Did you see a problem? Did you see something? Do you know someone who? Because the media says, oh, okay. Okay, here's the example, right? Last week, in this region, there were lots of stories, but one story was 2 people died from COVID-19 in the local hospital. And my question to people is, do you know? Do you know this person? Do you know, did they have any pre-existing problems? Did they have any
Who was it?
Who was it? Did they have any other problems? Who was the doctor? What was on the death certificate? What medicine were they given? And nobody knows, right? So my conclusion is this information is a question mark because it might be true, but at the same time it might not be true because media gets things wrong, right? Media gets a lot of people in media want to help, but not everybody is intelligent. That's
Yes.
just a fact.
Yes.
Not everybody is intelligent. So, um, so we have to be careful about the
Careful.
picture we have of
Mm-hmm.
of the world. You know, last year, I can't remember which television network, but it was a television network that said, Trump's government and American government dropped bombs in somewhere in the Middle East. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the video they played was from a fireworks display in the south of the United States. Right? It is completely crazy news story. Right? Completely crazy. Just absolutely not true. And so a lot of the news now is just to make conflict. It's to make you angry and
Mm-hmm.
frustrated and annoyed and unhappy because be, because all of that makes you sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that makes you sick. It makes you ill, and people like to take pills for their ills. Yeah, and they go to the doctor and they're like, oh, doctor, I don't feel very well. And the doctor looks at them and then looks at their computer and looks at them and then looks at their computer and types in some
Mm-hmm.
things. And the computer says, take this. And so the doctor says, take this. And, and you know, that's it. People take pills. Sales of antidepressant drugs in the last 2 months, huge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know.
People are stressed and frustrated and annoyed and part of the problem is the news that people see, that people
Mm-hmm.
read, which is negativity, negativity, negativity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
negativity. Now, bad things happen, but
Mm.
but if you only communicate about negativity, negativity,
Mm.
negativity, it doesn't help the world. It doesn't
Yes. Yes, of
it,
course.
it, it doesn't help society, and it creates panic, and it creates the worst thing in the world, which is fear. It creates fear.
Fear.
People get scared. They get worried. They get nervous, and when someone is scared,
Mm.
you can control everything that they will do. Right? When someone is scared, you can
Mm-hmm.
control. You can
Mm-hmm.
like if a child is scared of the parents and the parents say do this, the child will do it because they're scared.
Yes.
Just like a dog will do it as well. You can train a dog to do that. Yeah, and people, if the boss says to the employee, you must do this, if you know if the employee is scared,
Mm-hmm.
he will do anything,
Mm.
everything, whatever. Yeah,
Mm.
and so the yeah, I also read there there are numbers of there are a number of websites that people use for their
Mm-hmm.
statistics,
Mm-hmm.
and like Worldometer is one of them, and the collected data and statistics is it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong.
Yeah. Wrong. Yes.
It's wrong. There's no double verification. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Mm-hmm.
hey, we
Mm-hmm.
call someone in some department, they give us a number, and we write the number down, and
Mm-hmm.
that's that. It's all trust with a capital T. It's all trust.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook who monitors the number of daily uh, cases and deaths from COVID-19 in countries worldwide. And every morning he publishes the statistics. And every morning it's a joke because it's absolutely not possible, right? I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's absolutely not possible the statistics are right. Now, in that situation, the biggest problem is it could be lower, but it could also be higher, right? Right. It's, we don't. What if there's no problem? Well, that's good. But what if there's a big problem? Well, no, that's bad. That's bad. But really, it's bad on both sides because no one knows. And then you have people who think this on one side, and people who think this, and then boom, conflict.
Yes. Yes.
Conflict because because you can only go forward if you make a decision. It's life, right? Yeah. Okay. What do we do? Okay, we do this, and we do this, and we do this, and we do, and then we go forward. You can only go forward if you make a decision, and your decision is based on what you know, the information you have, and sometimes the information we have is good, sometimes it's bad, right? It's life, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's like driving a car. Which way do we go? Do we go this way or this way? I think we go this way. Okay, but maybe that's the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you stop and like, no, not this way. You turn around and go the other. You change your direction.
But mostly people need watch news on TV, what is new in the world. They don't have information from people who live there. I have information from you, but it's true what you tell me, but other people watch TV, news on TV, and BBC, CNN, and other channels. Everybody need choose what is true, what is not true.
Part of that is right. Yeah, everybody needs to choose. Everybody needs to make a decision, and everybody's decision is different because everybody's history is different. But the truth is the truth, right? The truth never changes.
Yes.
And it's not the truth that is the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that people can't say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That is the biggest problem that exists. Not the truth. Because deep down inside, everybody knows what the truth is. Right? But I think that in my experience, about 90% of people can't say sorry, I got it wrong. Right? And this is everybody from the teachers and business people, employers and employees and everybody, right through to government and doctors and other people. I mean, when was the last time a politician said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake? Oh wait, never. Never.
Yes.
Never. I'm waiting. I'm 45 years old and I'm waiting I'm waiting in my life to hear somebody say, sorry, I did that, but that was wrong. I did that based on this information. This information was wrong. I made a mistake with that, and I'm not perfect, and it's me being honest with you. So let's move forward and let's get it right next time, right? Right? And that doesn't happen most of the time. It just doesn't happen most of the time. And that is one of the biggest human problems.
Yeah.
When was the last time the news on television said, "Oh, we're sorry, we got it wrong"? Yeah, never. Because they put out the information, and then the next piece of information, and the next piece of information, and the next piece of information, and the next piece of information. They hit you bang, 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 like a boxer punching someone, and you know the result is like a military action. And in the past, excuse me, in the past it was true that only some people were hit with the information, because only some people got the information. But now in the modern world, with modern media and social media and the influence of social media, everybody gets the information. Everybody gets it in their hand, in their phone. Everybody gets it straight away.
Network.
Yeah. It's on one side it's a network, it's a web, it's a matrix, and
Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, Twitter is a great example of information traveling very fast and it influencing people. There were in the American Congress, there was a special meeting where the politicians talked about media and media influence. Yeah. And one message from one major platform, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or Google or Apple, one message sent to everybody can change the result of the election. One message. One message. It's crazy. One message. And I watched this hearing because it's just crazy things I do, right? I watched this because I was interested. And this media analyst was asked, okay, what does it take to influence an election, right? What does a big organization, what does a big company have to do to influence an election? And the answer was one message can change the result of the election because of the reach now of social media. One message. So all you need is one picture, the right picture with the right headline, with the right text, and you send it to everyone, and the election will flip and change. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because the election should be something that we think about carefully. We don't just it's Tuesday today, so I will I will vote for John Smith because John's a great name for Tuesday, right?
Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh, it's Wednesday, so Trump Day, so let's vote for Trump today. But Trump is just a symbol of every person is a small part of a big problem. Because government is not just one person.
Yeah.
Government is hundreds of thousands of people who I don't know. Some do good jobs, but my experience is that in the private sector and in the independent sector, things work better because when government has a problem, government always goes to private companies and asks for help. Because the people in government know that government can't solve any problem. Because government just eats money. It just eats money. It's just a money eating machine. And so to get something done, you have to go to a private organization, whether it's a technological company or a production company. Even the military, even the army uses private organizations for the top level assignments that it does. And the sad thing is that the people at the bottom level don't know this. Right? They think it's all within the structure of government, but it's not. It's because government consumes and we need production for doing things. And look at what's happening with pharmaceutical companies right now. Government has a problem, so government can't solve the problem, so government goes to all the pharmaceutical companies and says, here's some money, here's some money, here's some money, here's some money, solve this problem for us, maybe. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. Yeah.
I watched on TV that Donald Trump eats chloroquine or remdesivir. He's healthy and he eats these drugs. Why?
Well, hydroxychloroquine and zinc is a 100% cure for coronavirus. In all tests and all studies, and it has been used for 40 years. For 40 years it has been used. For 40 years it's been used to cure basic viruses. And there are studies in France where all patients, I can send you studies, 100% of patients cured from coronavirus within 48 hours. Within 48 hours, given hydroxychloroquine and zinc, within 48 hours, all patients 100% cured. Fact.
But this drug has very bad sides.
Side effects.
But we can use it in very sick people. This drug is for very sick people, not when they are we can.
No, see, that's not true.
No,
not true. Not true.
Not true.
Not true.
I read it.
Yeah, not true. Okay, because let me explain to you the logic is very simple, right? The logic is very simple. What you said is true. What you said is true, okay? But what you said is true for every drug.
Yes, I agree.
Therefore, it is not an argument for not using hydroxychloroquine because every pill,
What is it? What is it?
This is vitamin C supplement.
But
it's just an example of pill. I've got my vitamin C supplement. I've got my zinc. And if I had hydroxychloroquine in a small amount, I take it with zinc because hydroxychloroquine pushes the zinc into the system and makes sure the system has enough zinc because coronavirus is a deficiency of hydroxychloroquine and vitamin C and vitamin D, and that's why you're ill and that's why you die.
Okay.
And prove me wrong, and you can't because it's a fact. Right? It's a fact. Why is we talked about it last week, why is coronavirus called coronavirus, right? Because of the sun causing reactions in the body, right? No sun, you get sick, and you die. If you don't get sun, you die. That's a fact.
The best is stay at home.
Yeah, you see, that's what's funny. Stay at home, wear a mask, and shoot yourself in the head, right? That's and clap. And clap.
Is
and
the
watch
best
the TV.
Treatment.
Watch the TV, right? Yay. Yay. That's it. That's a really good idea, right? Yeah, and eat processed food from the supermarket and drink lots of alcohol and I don't know what other bad habits people
Psychologist drugs.
Oh yeah. Yep, just like eat them like candy, right?
Yes, candy.
Eat them like candy. I've got my green tea capsules. I've got my, this is empty, this is omega-3 fish oil fatty acids. Okay. Sorry, fish oils. Right. I've got my colloidal silver.
Zebra, colloidal.
Yep. I've got, I'm trying to remember what these are again. It's mushroom roots, I think. Cordyceps.
Cordyceps. I see. Pure.
Okay. Somewhere under here, it's got an English label somewhere under here. Okay. Yeah. Where's the label where it says what's in it? Can't see. Okay. Don't read that. I've got my coconut oil.
I know.
Right. And I also have tiger balm ointment.
Tiger balm.
Yeah, it's cinnamon oil, mint oil, and paraffin. Cinnamon oil and paraffin. Yeah. So this is how I stay healthy, right?
You have pharmacy at home.
Of natural products, right?
Yes.
Of natural products.
I know.
Yeah, but so hydroxychloroquine and zinc is 100% cure for coronavirus
Mm-hmm.
within 48 hours. Now,
Mm-hmm.
because because part of the coronavirus is zinc deficiency, the body doesn't have enough zinc
Mm-hmm.
because the diet is bad,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get the zinc into the cells. And
Mm-hmm.
hydroxychloroquine is a rocket to put. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you take too much hydroxychloroquine,
Mm-hmm.
it will take anything and everything and put it into your cells.
Mm-hmm.
So too much is bad, but too much
Mm-hmm.
water will kill you. Too
Yes,
much
yes.
air and oxygen will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Too much exercise will kill you.
Of course.
Yeah. So this argument that hydroxychloroquine is dangerous is true because everything is dangerous. But
Mm-hmm.
any journalist, any newspaper, any doctor
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
tells you hydroxychloroquine and zinc don't work or are too dangerous, whatever, it's wrong. It's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can type into Google hydroxychloroquine and zinc French studies and it pulls up studies,
Mm-hmm.
and there are other studies
Mm-hmm.
in hospitals in the United States where it cured everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, vitamin intravenous vitamins
Mm-hmm.
cure people.
Mm-hmm.
Intravenous ultraviolet light cures
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yes.
I mean, this. Yeah,
But if we are healthy, we don't need to use even vitamins. Vitamins.
yeah, yeah. It's it's true. Um,
Mm.
it's true. It's hard to find that right balance,
Mm.
but it is true. I think if you eat fresh fruit and fresh vegetables and you have that as the balance of your diet and you
Mm-hmm.
use that a lot, then then you have a good, healthy, balanced diet. You could mix in some extra things. Maybe some tropical fruit, maybe some fish within your diet,
Mm-hmm.
and so diet is the foundation. But um, the quality of the food is a question mark. The
Mm-hmm.
quality of the agriculture system is a question mark. The quality of the farming is a question
Mm-hmm.
mark. What do they feed the animals on?
Mm. Yes, yes. Mostly food is not healthy.
A lot of food is not healthy,
Mm.
and it's part of the system of control. Why in communism was alcohol so
Mm.
cheap?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why?
It was to control the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't have a lot of money and you want to have something, you want easy access to something, um, and then people are controllable because they're stupid or they're drunk or they can't fight back, they can't do anything. And this was well known throughout history. It was well known throughout history that
Mm-hmm.
human beings, that most people could not control their dark side. Human beings can't control their dark side. Now, this is connected to the I can't say I'm wrong. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong because I don't have control over my dark side, because it's my dark side that says oh no, I'm perfect, my ego, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, that's why up to 250 years ago, every government in the world, every power control system in the world limited access to alcohol because alcohol destroyed cultures. Look at what alcohol did to the Aborigines in Australia. Look at what
Yes.
alcohol did to the North American Indians.
Yes.
Look at what alcohol did to the Scots in history.
Yes.
Yeah, Scotland has a massive problem with alcoholism.
Alcohol.
And this is the, you know, this is what people don't want to talk about. People want to say, ooh, Scotland, whiskey, distilleries, romantic.
Yes.
But that's not the history. That's not the history. Because the distilleries created the alcohol that was then sold to the local people to take the culture down. Right? The same way that alcohol destroyed the Soviet Union and it destroyed you know, it's look at Slovakia, right? Look at Eastern Slovakia, right? You look at the gypsy communities. It's just alcohol just destroys it. Yeah. And so, and you know, look, you can't drink and drive, right? You can't drink and do anything. You can't drink and work, right? You can't drink and work. You can't drink and drive. You can't drink and sort of have a sensible, logical conversation with people. And so that is an understanding of how food and medicine and drugs, as food and drink and medicine and drugs, can be used as a way to control people. Because if you don't have the right foods, then you don't have the right medicine, and then you're not healthy, and then you're dependent upon other people and other things and other systems. Yeah, it's look, if you want to look, this is 101 history lesson, right? If you want to control people, make them sick. If you want to control people, make them sick, because then you make them dependent. Then they need something from you. And in history is full of examples of making people sick and then selling them the cure. Making people sick and then selling them the cure. Which is what media does. Give people the problem and then sell them the solution to it. Yeah. And what we're looking at in Western culture is a very big problem where we're not actually living longer right now. We're actually living slightly shorter lives than we did 50, 60 years ago. And even that was not as good as 100, 150 years ago. We're not living as long. We have more people who die younger today.
Yes.
And this is basically because of quality of life. It's bad living environment, bad water, bad food, and I'll have to add bad medicine. Yeah. These bad pharmaceutical drugs kill a lot of people. There were some heart drugs. It's a classic one. A lot of heart drugs. Yeah, some tests of heart drugs, and in some of the tests of some of the heart drugs, the heart drugs killed everybody. It killed everybody in the tests. It's dangerous stuff, right?
Yeah.
Look, what can save you can also kill you.
Yes.
It's dangerous. It's a gun, right? It's a gun. You know, the gun, it can save you, but it can also kill you. So it's hard, and that's also maybe why we should have guns. If we have medicine and medicine can save you or kill you, then why not guns? Because guns can save you or kill you as well.
Mhm.
Same argument, right?
Mhm.
So through history, food was control. Hladomor, right?
Mhm.
Food was control. Controlled the population through food. Ireland was controlled through food when the British government destroyed the potato crops in Ireland so that people had more food.
Mhm.
Thank you, British government. Right? Thank you, British government. The British government sponsored the creation of the distilleries and the alcohol industry in Scotland, which caused the culture to crash. Thank you very much, British government. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Right? That's why just supermarkets are 10% alcohol, right?
Yes. It's horrible.
It's difficult, right?
Mm.
It's difficult. Supermarkets are 10% alcohol, so um, and you and it's a control. It's a system of control. Many companies have tested putting drugs in food to see
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
happens when
Mhm.
we've got genetically modified organisms.
Mhm. We ate uh, antibiotics in the meat from pork or
Yep,
other animals.
absolutely.
We don't know that there are in meat.
Yep. It's very true. It's very true. Yeah, we don't know a lot of the time that where the food comes from,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a
Mm-hmm.
big industry in fake food, right?
Yes, yes.
There's a big industry in fake food and selling things that looks like one thing, but it's actually something else. It's a massive. I was reading today. I
Mm-hmm.
was actually reading a report today on the fake food and drink and medicine industry and how it's
Mm-hmm.
getting bigger.
Yes.
It's getting bigger and bigger because the system is getting more complicated, and because it gets more complicated, it gets more corrupt, right? And the example is people want to do good things. Okay, people want to do good things, but
Mm-hmm.
when the rules and the laws are a bit crazy,
Mm-hmm.
you have to find other ways to do things, right? This is what is happening here right now, is that
Mm-hmm.
the laws are so crazy and stupid that everyone is a criminal. Everyone is a criminal, right? You can't know, because everyone is a criminal because everyone is like closer than 2 meters. You're closer than 2 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but so's everyone, right? Right? Try getting on a bus with a lot of people on the bus, right? It's all very crazy. So we have all these laws and all these rules, and all this does is just create more problems.
Yes.
And people want to live.
Mm.
Do do you think that stopping all of this travel
Mm.
is going to stop people traveling?
Mm. Mm.
People want to travel, right?
Yes.
They want to go on holiday, they want to explore,
Mm-hmm.
they want to visit
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
I got messages last week
Mm-hmm.
from friends I have in London who were in Scotland on holiday.
Now?
Last week.
Last week? How is it possible?
Well, it was very easy. You go out of your house, you get in your car, and you drive to where you want to go. It's very easy.
Very easy.
So how is this possible? It's really very easy.
Very easy, yes.
Right? This limitation of travel is not going to stop people from traveling. People will find another way.
Certainly.
If they can't go by plane, they'll go by boat. If they can't go by boat, I don't know, they'll swim. I don't know what they'll do. They'll find another way to get to wherever it is that they want to go. They'll find a way. There's always a way. Yeah. And look at the stories every day. The British government picks up people from the English Channel in little boats coming across the English Channel. Every day. Every day. Yeah. Yeah. And so people will find a way to travel. They'll always find a way to travel. And people with money will just,
Yes.
Here you are. Thank you very much.
You can go.
Yeah, you can go. Exactly. Exactly. It's this present problem is creating a new Soviet system in Europe. The limitation of travel, the limitation of business, the limitation of communication. I predict before the end of this year, there will be either A, major problems with major power companies providing power and energy to countries and people and places. It's logical. It's only logical. The supply system, because what we see now is stage one. It's just stage one. Trust me, it's just stage one. We're just looking at stage one.
Only stage one?
Yeah. You prepare yourself. Get your crash helmet on, okay? Get your crash helmet on, because this is just the beginning. This is just stage one. Right, stage one. I know this is just stage one because I read the UN documents. I read the World Economic Forum documents. I read the World Bank documents. I read the Rockefeller Foundation documents. I know that this is just stage one. I've read the Bill Gates Foundation documents. This is just stage one. Stage two will be power out and communication out.
How will we live?
How will we live? Well, the question
without
is...
communication, without traveling, without...
Okay, well, you see, stage one is control the people to stop the panic. Stage one is control the people. Train your dog. It's dog training. It's Pavlovian dog training. Do you notice? Do you see how governments are not asking people politely and nicely? Governments are not asking. They're ordering. Stay at home. Wear a mask. That's an order.
Right? I understand. Mm-hmm.
This is animal training. This is Pavlovian animal training. Trust me, my background is in language, so I know what I'm talking about. This is Pavlovian animal training.
Mm-hmm.
The governments are not explaining things and saying things nicely.
Mm-mm.
They're hammering on people. Every person is a nail, and every order is a hammer. Right? This is what's happening. Why? Because this is just stage one. Stage one is condition your animal. Why do you need to condition your animal? To prepare your animal for how to act at stage two.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you train your dog to? Why do people train their dog to understand the command bad man?
Mm-hmm.
Bad man, dog, rah, 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 rah. Bad. I do it. You so that when you see a bad man, your dog knows what to do. You train the animal before the event, so the animal knows what to do when the event happens. Stage one is the training of the animal. So, this is what we have now, the training of the animal. Stand here, move over there, stay in the box, follow the arrow. Move like a robot. Talk like a robot. Think like a robot. This is it.
Everybody not think.
But look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. Right? Look at what is essential and what is not essential. What is key and what is not key. Right? So stage one is training the animal because you don't want a panic at stage two. You don't want a panic at stage two. And stage two is going to be no power and no communication as a result. But not for everybody. But not for everybody. This is why they need this group of people here, and this group of people here, and this group of people. Imagine, I'm sorry, problem with power. We can't have power to this village. We can't have power to that. It's too far, it's too complicated, it's too difficult. I'm sorry, we'll have to move you into the city. We'll have to move you. We've got these extra spaces and places now from these hospitals we've built, or these empty schools, or whatever, or these empty stadiums, or fitness facilities, or gyms, or sports halls that can't be used. Sports facilities were never for sport because the government doesn't care about your health. Sports facilities were always military facilities for the collection of people in emergencies. During the hurricanes in the United States, where did the people go? They went to the football stadiums. The stadiums are collection centers for people in emergencies. Roads were never roads for the people. Roads were never made for people. They were made for the government to get things from one place to another place practically, and then the people are like, ooh, roads. Let's explore. Right? The roads were never for the people. The roads were always built by the government for the government. Yeah. Those big... In America, they had big sort of 6-lane highways, 6 lanes on one side, 6 lanes on another side. Those were never for the people. Those were for the planes. Those were to move the planes around the country so the military could travel. They were never for cars. People don't understand history. They don't know. They don't get it. They don't get it, right? People just don't know. They don't know how it worked, right? Right. You know what in the South American dictatorships, what did the dictators do? They took the people to the football stadiums and they shot them in the head. That's what the football stadiums were for. They weren't for football. Right. In military organizations, it's military. Okay, here, let me give you another example. You know what NASCAR is, American car racing, yeah? Okay. And they built these tracks for racing cars. It was never about racing cars. See, under the tracks, they were making alcohol, and they needed a way. Yeah, under the tracks, they were making alcohol, and they needed a way to. They needed a cover story, so that they could cover they were making alcohol, because the drivers of NASCAR were the drivers of the trucks selling the illegal alcohol, and they needed to drive fast. Do you understand? That's where NASCAR comes from. It comes from the drivers who were driving the trucks selling the illegal alcohol. The alcohol was made in these special places underground, and on top of that they built these speedways for races for people as cover for the alcohol that they sold. Right? People don't know history. They don't understand where the games come from. They don't understand. Modern sport is very interesting in its history and its design, and sport was always military. Sport was all the big yes, but the big stadiums with the big Russian events like 40, 50, 20, 30 years, everybody went to Prague and everybody went to the stadium and everybody was, doing their exercises. What was that called? That had a name. What was that? There was a special name for that event.
Spartakiada.
Yes, yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Pražský Strahov. In Prague. Strahov Stadium.
Yeah, and it was it was a government military, semi-military activity. Right. It was fun to go and travel and be with people and see a different part of the country and things. But it was also, something else at the same time, right? It was also a perfect example of population control. Is what it was. So people don't understand the history of things and events. So first you have to control the people, and you don't want anybody doing anything unexpected. If there's a major problem, you don't want anybody doing anything unexpected. So why the government have these little books of names of people. If you question the system, your life is very hard, right? People's life is very hard if they question the system. Doesn't matter if you're a politician or a teacher or a priest. If you question the system, chop, right? Chop. There's negative stories in the media about you, which might or might not be true. We don't know. So Stage 1 is Pavlovian training of people. Stage 2 is to control their use of information and energy. Yeah, right. Smart technology, smart energy, smart grids. That's not for you. That's so other people can limit the energy you use. They can limit your energy use. Oh, this month you used too much energy. You had your lights on for 8 hours. Your lights should only be on for 7 hours. It's not for you. The smartphone is so the government can have all your data. They can know where you are, where you go, who you communicate with, which messages you send, who you talk to. The microphone is always on. It's control. Now, I love my smartphone, but I love my smartphone. I use it all the time. But I'm not stupid. I know what it's for. I still love it, right? I know it's not really for me, but I still like to use it because they understand, human behavior and what makes people want to do things, and they're very accurate with their ideas. So they need to control people's use of energy. That's what's happened. That's what will happen next. Oh, we don't have enough energy for everybody, so we have to start limiting. They will limit when the lights can be on and off. They will limit when you can have access to the internet. How many devices you're charging too many devices inside your homes. They're gonna do that, right? They're already talking about essential and non-essential travel. You don't need to go, so we will not let you go. Right? And they'll have the data. They have because they're like because your phone is in your pocket because right. So that's why there's a new trend. There's already a new trend in Britain to leave all your technology at home. There's a new trend. Leave all your technology at home. Because people understand, some people understand that all the information is and once upon a time Google and Apple and government were all in conflict with each other. It's changed. We've moved forward. They're now working. They're now all working together. They're now all working together. And right, when all the political parties have the same idea, it's just one party, right?
One party, yes.
Yeah, it's just one party at the end of the day. So before the end of this year, I think within 6 months, maybe within a year, we will see in some countries energy problems and communication problems. Maybe even things like, do you honestly think the government likes the fact that I'm talking to you?
No.
No, they don't like that.
Yes, because I have informations which government don't tell.
Yeah, no, and we just have a normal conversation as two people, but every day there are millions of people communicating with millions of people, creating media and data and content and putting it on the internet, which contradicts the big story, the main narrative. It contradicts it, and governments don't like that, right?
Yeah.
Governments don't like that.
I think that I watched on TV that Donald Trump wants control internet and other net chce kontrolować.
Yeah, now, basically, it's a good thing, right? Basically, it's a good thing because of what I explained earlier, which is the one message sent by one system can change an election. And so we don't want government controlling communication, but at the same time, we don't want private companies acting like a government controlling the information as well. And the classic example to understand is public forum, right? The park must be the park for everyone. Right? The park is there for everyone. Old, young, black, white, green, red, communist, fascist, libertarian, whatever, right? What, atheist, whatever, Muslim, Christian, whatever. The park must be the park for everyone. Now, this is called public commons. Common ground, common land. Yeah, the park is public land, public. And social media is public commons. It must be there for everyone. If you imagine this, one person can have a phone, but another person can't have a phone. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Right? It's just wrong, and that's the social media situation, right? If Twitter decides this information is good, but this information is bad, then you're saying these people can be in the park, but these people can't. That's wrong. That's wrong. You must allow everyone the space and the place. And when you know and understand that not everything in the media is true, not everything the government says is true, then you must understand that always there will be some information which is not true. Always. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. And you must function like a public space, like a park. And the park is open to everybody. So Twitter must be a park for everybody. And to have this is, and I don't like this, but I don't have a better solution at the moment. I don't like this. But what keeps the park open for everybody is the police. Right? What keeps the park open, because if somebody is in the park and they have a problem, they call the police, and the police come and say, well, the park is for everybody, right? Right. So with Twitter, the only solution at the moment, now things can change, move on. The only solution at the moment is to have the government come in as an independent group and say this platform is for everybody. This platform it can't be just for people on the left side of politics or the right side of politics. It's got to be open to everybody. It's got to be fair and balanced. Just like we have courts in society, right? We can't, it's crazy, but we can't let Coca-Cola have its own court system, right? We can't let Huawei have its own court system.
Oh.
We can't let Skoda have its own court system. It's not going to work, right? So we need, this is one time where we actually need government to make sure that everything is level and everything is balanced and everything is even. Now, the problem is that government is, so it's like asking the children to police the children, right? But at the moment we don't have a better solution. So it's okay for now. But maybe in 6 months, a year, 2 years, maybe it won't be okay. I don't think there's a great solution there. So the same way that government stopped companies being too big in the past. The American government said to IBM, "You're too big. We got to cut you up into Apple and Apricot and Microsoft and HP and all these other different technical groups." And that's where all the technical companies come from. They all come from IBM, right? They were all smaller companies that IBM funded. Microsoft is IBM. Microsoft is IBM. Bill Gates did not start Microsoft. Microsoft is IBM. It's the same company. It's the same company. This story, people don't understand history. Bill Gates didn't start Microsoft, right? Microsoft was given to Bill Gates, right? His name is on the papers, but he didn't start that because Microsoft is IBM. That's why it's so powerful. Because IBM was 1930s, 1940s, early computing. IBM were the original computers running the health data for governments. They were set up to run health data. IBM was employed by Hitler to run the Nazi war camps and the concentration camps. IBM ran those camps. IBM ran those camps. IBM ran the cataloging system for the prisoners in the German war camps. IBM.
I didn't know it.
Yeah, IBM did that. And look at what Microsoft is doing now.
Yes.
Right? People don't understand history.
Yes.
People are ignorant of history. Right? Right. It's the same war. We're fighting the same war. It's a more intellectual war this time, but it's the same war. Right? Bill Gates and Microsoft represent IBM, which is the pharmaceutical control of the population.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill Gates is an intelligent person, though. He's also a psychopath, but he's very intelligent, right? For sure. So, yeah, I don't know how I got onto that. People don't understand the history. They don't understand the parallels. They don't see what happened before. That will happen again, unless we can stop everything. But to stop everything, we have to be. This is the problem. We have to be proactive, not reactive.
Yes.
When I read the newspaper, I am reactive because the information comes into me and then I think about it. I'm reacting. When I write the story, I'm proactive.
Yes.
and proactive. And if, as people and cultures and society, we can be proactive, do good things first,
Yes.
then we have a possibility as society, we have a chance of living better, living healthier, living longer. Um, but to to do that is not an easy step for anybody.
Of course.
Right. It's really
Yes.
not an easy step, but it begins with basically looking around and seeing, okay, this is good, this is right, this is the way it should be, because we all know what's good, what's right.
Mm.
Yeah.
We need information.
Yeah. Well, it's this is the information war, right? This is the and um, it gets more complicated because we only live on this planet for a short period of time, right? Right. Time is very limited, and some things some things we can do, some things we can't do, because time is very limited. But if we look around and we see what's going on, and we try to make a change that's positive, and we're proactive, that's a good thing. But there's a lot of people waiting. They're waiting for things to come to them. They're waiting to see what happens next.
Yes.
And a lot of people waiting actually to see what other people do.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, shall I go outside? Oh, let's look and see. Is anybody? They're outside, so they're outside there. Oh, okay, I'll go outside.
Yeah.
They're naturally cautious. They're a little bit afraid. It's the fear in society. So this is where leadership comes in. This is where leadership comes in. This is what I've been pushing for the last three years, right? With people, leadership, going forward, being proactive, not stopping, having morals, learning, communicating. And this is the opposite of what the system wants.
Well,
Because
I understand
the
this.
system wants everyone to just be a good soldier. They don't want everyone to be a leader. They want some leaders, but they don't want everyone to be a leader. And so this is my big challenge, which is to get people to think about what it is to be better, to be good, to be right. If you ask people today, what is right? What does it mean to be? What is right in the world? What is the right thing to do? People are confused. They're not sure. They don't know. They don't understand. And when you understand control of people, if someone doesn't know, then they will follow people. And they will follow anyone and everyone. And most specifically, they will follow the media and they will follow the government. because that's the safest way. Stay safe,
Mm-hmm.
stay safe, stay home, stay safe, stay home. Do you know how mind control works? Hypnotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's hypnotherapy. Stay safe, stay home, save lives. Stay safe, stay home, save lives. Stay. I can't say it. Blah blah blah. Stay safe,
Yes,
stay home, save
of
lives.
course.
It's hypnotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stay safe, stay home, save lives is it's a mantra.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like when people say, "I am fine, I am good, I am healthy." Yeah, it's a mantra, and this is behavioral control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, clap for the doctors when the doctors are not working. You see, that's behavior control.
Mm, in Slovakia, doctors started normal work.
Hmm. Yeah, look, that's good. Every country is different, and many things in Slovakia are better than they are in other
Mm,
countries. Look, I I lived in Slovakia for 20
mhm,
years because I
mm,
think that a lot of things in Slovakia are better,
mhm,
right?
mm,
Uh,
mhm,
I think Britain is a very socialist country, but people don't know it because they don't understand what socialism is. So they don't really see it. But um, yeah, there's all the and remember what I said earlier. People can't say, "I'm sorry, it was me. I got it wrong." So if you can get people to clap for
mhm,
doctors who are not working, then
mhm,
they will do anything, right? Mind control. It's mind control because
mhm,
to control a person's mind, you must first do two things.
mm.
Number one, you make them confused.
Confused.
Zmęczeni. Zmęczeni.
Значение. Aha, yes, confused. Mhm.
Yeah, you make them confused.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Abracadabra. Okay, you make them
Mm.
confused, and then you give them very simple tasks. Stand up, sit down,
Mhm. Mm.
look left, look right, stay home. That is mind control. These are very
Mhm.
very simple mind control techniques. Look at I think Milton Erickson. I think that's his name. He was he's a famous writer of books of
Mhm.
mind control,
Mhm.
and this is his work. Yeah, on the brain and how the brain works. Make people confused. You know, if someone is unhappy,
Mhm.
get them to make a cup of tea.
Mhm.
Yeah, you understand that,
Mhm.
right? Right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
That process will change their mind.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if someone is confused, you get them to follow simple things. And if they
Mhm.
can do simple things, then you can give them another command to do something else. And then you confuse them with opposite commands. So stay at home, but go outside at 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening. Stay at home, but go outside at 8
Mhm.
o'clock on a
Mm.
Thursday evening. Stay at home, but go outside.
Mhm. Yes.
Right? Right? Which is the same concept as this business is essential and this business is not essential. This worker is key and this worker is not key.
Mm.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense unless you're trying to play with people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is happening right now is a process of programming the mind.
Right.
And
Mm.
it's programming the mind
Mm.
for the next step, for the next
Mm-hmm.
level. Yeah. And you see who is suggestible, who you can control. And the
Mm.
person you can control, that's who you give power to. You give power to the people that you can control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Watch what happens over the next year. Watch what
Mm.
happens. It's a daily process.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
It's a daily
Step by
process.
step.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like getting healthy is step by step,
Mm.
getting unhealthy is also step by step as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and we we need to be conscious and be thinking, and this is really a time when we need to turn off the TV and turn
Mm-hmm.
off the radio, because
Mm.
this is where a lot of the bad information and the negativity is coming from.
Mm.
Yeah, because if something is good naturally, it's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
But if something is bad,
No, that's right.
it's not automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You must be told again and again and again and
Mm-hmm.
again and
Mm-hmm.
again and again and again
Mm-hmm.
about it to, well, it's marketing and advertising.